Xyloth-7 had been observing Earth for weeks now, perched high above the planet in his sleek, shimmering spacecraft. His mission was simple: study human behavior and report back to the Intergalactic Council. Xyloth-7 was a curious creature, with smooth, iridescent skin that shifted colors depending on his mood, and long, slender limbs that allowed him to move with an almost boneless grace. His species, the Corlaxians, had long abandoned the concept of clothing, as their skin adapted to any environment, rendering fabric unnecessary. To Xyloth-7, the idea of covering one's body was as bizarre as wearing a spaceship on one's head. But humans were obsessed with clothing. They wore it everywhere, indoors, outdoors, even while sleeping. Xyloth-7 couldn't understand it. Why would a species voluntarily restrict their bodies with layers of fabric? Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to conduct a closer investigation. Disguising himself as a human, a process that involved a holographic projection and a lot of awkward adjustments, Xyloth-7 descended to Earth. His first stop was a bustling city, where humans hurried about in an endless sea of colors, patterns, and textures. Xyloth-7 stared in awe at the sheer variety of clothing. Some humans wore tight, form-fitting garments that clung to their bodies like a second skin. Others draped themselves in loose, flowing fabrics that billowed in the wind. There were hats, scarves, gloves, and shoes in every imaginable shape and size. Xyloth-7's skin flickered with confusion, turning a pale shade of lavender. "Why do they do this to themselves?" he muttered, his voice a soft hum that no human could hear. "It looks so restrictive." He approached a group of humans waiting at a crosswalk, studying their attire. One woman wore a pair of tall, spiked shoes that made her wobble with every step. A man nearby was squeezed into a stiff, buttoned-up suit, his neck constricted by a narrow strip of fabric. Xyloth-7 shuddered. How could they move so freely while burdened by such impractical garments? Curiosity got the better of him. He needed to experience this strange human ritual for himself. Stepping into a nearby clothing store, Xyloth-7 was immediately overwhelmed by the sheer volume of options. Racks upon racks of clothing stretched out before him, each item more baffling than the last. He picked up a pair of denim pants, running his fingers over the rough fabric. "What is this material?" he wondered aloud. "It feels like the hide of a grumble beast." A cheerful sales associate approached him, mistaking his confusion for indecision. "Can I help you find something, sir?" Xyloth-7 hesitated. "I require clothing for human activities." The associate smiled. "Well, you've come to the right place. What are you looking for?" "Casual wear. Something formal. Maybe a nice pair of jeans." Xyloth-7's skin turned a deep shade of blue, a sign of mild distress. "I do not know what any of those things are. Please explain." The associate blinked, momentarily thrown off by his odd phrasing, but quickly recovered. "Okay, let's start simple. Jeans are these." She held up the denim pants. "They're comfortable and versatile. Great for everyday wear." Xyloth-7 tilted his head. "Everyday wear? You mean humans wear the same clothing repeatedly? Do they not shed their outer layers and grow new ones?" The associate laughed, assuming he was joking. "Oh, you're funny. No, we wash our clothes and wear them again. Here, why don't you try these on?" She led him to a fitting room and handed him a pair of jeans and a plain t-shirt. Xyloth-7 stared at the garments, utterly perplexed. How did humans manage to squeeze themselves into these things? After several minutes of fumbling, he finally managed to pull on the jeans and shirt, though the process left him feeling like he'd been wrapped in a cocoon. Stepping out of the fitting room, Xyloth 7 felt strange. The fabric clung to his body, restricting his movements. He tried to take a step forward, but the jeans were so tight that he nearly tripped. The shirt itched against his skin, and he couldn't stop fidgeting. "How do humans tolerate this?" he asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "It's like wearing a prison." The associate chuckled. "You'll get used to it. Trust me, you look great." Xyloth 7 glanced at his reflection in the mirror. The holographic projection made him appear human, but he couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort. Still, he was determined to understand this peculiar human custom. He purchased the jeans and shirt, along with a few other items the associate recommended, and left the store. Over the next few days, Xyloth 7 immersed himself in human culture, trying out different types of clothing. He wore a suit to a business meeting, a swimsuit to the beach, and even a Halloween costume to a party. Each experience left him more baffled than the last. The suit was the worst. The stiff collar dug into his neck, the jacket restricted his arm movements, and the tie felt like a noose. At the beach, the swimsuit clung to his body in the most uncomfortable way, and he couldn't understand why humans would willingly expose so much skin while still covering parts of it. The Halloween costume, a giant banana suit, was perhaps the most confusing of all. Why would humans dress up as inanimate objects for fun? As the days passed, Xyloth 7's frustration grew. He missed the freedom of his natural form, the way his skin could breathe and adapt to any environment. Clothing, he decided, was a strange and unnecessary burden. But just as he was about to give up on his experiment, something unexpected happened. He met a human named Mia. Mia was an artist who worked in a small studio downtown. She wore loose, flowing clothes that seemed to defy gravity, and her vibrant personality immediately drew Xyloth 7 in. Intrigued, he struck up a conversation with her, and before long, they were discussing the concept of clothing. "I don't understand why humans wear these things," Xyloth 7 admitted, gesturing to his jeans and t-shirt. "They're so restrictive." Mia smiled. "It's not just about function. Clothing is a form of self-expression. It's a way to show the world who you are, or who you want to be." Xyloth 7's skin flickered with curiosity, turning a soft shade of green. Self-expression. But why not just be yourself? Mia laughed. "It's hard to explain. But think of it like art. You use colors and shapes to create something beautiful, something that speaks to you. Clothing is like that. It's a way to tell your story without saying a word." Her words resonated with Xyloth 7 in a way he hadn't expected. For the first time, he began to see clothing not as a burden, but as a form of creativity. He spent the next few days with Mia, learning about fashion and experimenting with different styles. Together, they created a unique outfit that combined human clothing with elements of Korlaxian design, a flowing, shimmering garment that changed colors with his mood. When it was time to return to his spacecraft, Xyloth 7 felt a strange sense of sadness. He had come to Earth to study humans, but he had ended up learning something about himself. Clothing, he realized, wasn't just about practicality or tradition. It was a way to connect, to express, to create.